Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Tsepo Mohapi once more with Life in Perspective. I am responding to some of the comments. I just wanted to talk to you and give you a Friday special. I don't normally do this, but I felt the need to just cover some of those issues or the questions that have been raised or some of the comments that have been made around my previous post on the perspective that we need to have in challenges. What sort of perspective must we have in challenges? And I've dealt with that quite extensively, and I believe some people had a few questions. Now, just to give you a bit of context to that so that it makes things a bit easy. A lot of people tend to think that everything must equally happen to everyone. They tend to believe that everyone must experience everything the same way, or everyone must have equal chances in life, or everyone must have, things must just be ordinary, or they must basically be aligned for every single person. And many a times they use that in the name of God to say, if God is just and God is good, that means everyone must be open to all opportunities equally like everyone else. Now, let me tell you something that is very, very interesting about life. Is very little of the things that are happening in our day-to-day lives are controlled by God. Many of them are controlled by decisions, and it could be decisions that were made by our forefathers. It could be decisions that are made by us. It could be decisions that are made because you are in the bloodline and you were born in that family. The decisions that the people that lived before you made have the ability to impact you. And there is no level of unfairness that has been applied in any of that, because you need to understand as a person that everything that happens in your life, if you choose to change your life today, if your life does not go the way you want it to go, you are doing that for yourself and those who come after you, your children, your grandchildren, and their children's children, up until whatever generation. So whatever choices that you make today have the ability to echo into other generations that will come out of your loins as a person. Now, we need to have that understanding, because if you come from a family of people who give up every time whenever something happens, the likelihood is that you would be experiencing a lot more difficulty than other people. Because in your family, people just give up. They never want to push anything. They never want to drive anything. They just give up. But if you come from a family of fighters, the likelihood is that the fights that you are going to fight are not going to be similar to the one who is in a family of people who are giving up. Now, let me paint a scenario so that you can understand what I'm trying to say. What am I really saying with this? Let's paint a scenario of a group of people walking through an uncharted or untouched territory. In a bush, for an example. They would go into a bush and you would find, for you to be able to make way, the one that walks in front of you must probably carry a panga or a machete to be able to clear the woods so that they create a way for the ones who are coming behind them. Now, the person that is walking in front of everyone else experiences the biggest challenge. The ones that are coming behind are not going to experience as much hardship as the one who is ahead, because he needs to clear the way. He needs to clear the way for everyone else who's coming behind them. Now, you'll find in some families that someone else, maybe, in their generation, cleared the path. They took it upon themselves to say, I will bear it all and clear the path. Though they were hoping maybe to gain the results for clearing the path, at that point in time, maybe they didn't even enjoy the complete benefit of clearing the path. And it's only their children and their children's children that are actually going to enjoy their hard work. So you will find in some families that some people have to go through certain levels of difficulty for the rest of the family, because they have to clear things up for everyone else who's coming in the generation. So the person that is walking the bush and clearing the way for the family, they are clearing the way. They are clearing the way for everyone else that's coming behind them. It is harder for them than it will be for the people coming behind them. It is harder for them than it will be for the people that are following them. So what it means is that that person who is ahead of all of them will experience a lot more challenges. So some of you are firstborns in your family. And maybe you are firstborn in a family of people that give up most of the time. When they reach a bush and they are supposed to take that machete and start cutting off cutting off the grass so that they can make way. They choose not to do it, or they do it a little bit and give up and say it's too hard. And the next generation comes and they try, and some in other generations, they don't even bother. When they see the bush, they just walk away. And by bush, the bush represents difficulty. The bush represents trouble. The bush represents challenges of life. The bush represents all sorts of things that a person goes through in life that are hard, that are resisting your progress as a person. So if that's what the bush represents, it means then that the more in your bloodline, the more people are willing to fight and are willing to push to make sure that things work out in your family, the easier it will be for the generations that are coming. Now, if you are then in a family of people that just don't care, they don't even have a drive for life. They don't even have. That is why you need to observe your family before you have an understanding of what is it that you are dealing with. You need to have an understanding of your family before you can have an understanding of what is it that you are dealing with. Because some of you are dealing with a lot more than you are willing to accept, because of the type of background that you come from and the type of people that you have in your family, from your parents to your grandparents, to your great parents. And that's why I always encourage people to say, find out the type of people those people were. Because sometimes it feels like you are fighting for the whole family, and you are fighting things that are older than you. You are fighting things that have been there long before you were even born. And to some instances, it is true. It is true that you are fighting those things because the people that lived before you didn't bother fighting those battles. They allowed their lives to remain ordinary. They allowed their lives to remain mediocre. They allowed their lives to be whatever that life was dictating that it should be, or whatever the resistance that they were experiencing. They were willing to accept being poor. They were willing to accept being ordinary. They were willing to. Now, because you are driven more than the rest of your family members, the battles that you are going to fight are going to be a lot harder, because you will find some of you are the first person to be doing what you are doing in your family. Some of you are the first person to be going to university. Some of you are the first person to have a degree in the family. Some of you are the first person to start a business in the family. Some of you are the first person to be promoted to a manager level as a career person. Some of you are the first person to be promoted as a CEO. The type of battles, the inner battles that you are going to fight as a person are a lot heavier than people who are following in the footsteps of their fathers. Some of them are following in the footsteps of their mothers. Some are following in the footsteps of their grandfathers. You'll find that a great-grandfather did the CEO thing before, and the grandfather did it, and your father did it, and you are following in the same legacy. The type of challenges you are going to face are not going to be as heavy as a person who's the one breaking ground, who's opening up that bush. No one else has bothered to open the bush, and you are the first one to come in and open up the bush for the rest of your family. Keep that in mind when you are fighting the battles, because some of you are fighting battles that are bigger than you, but I dare you to do it. I dare you to do it, because if you do it, not only are you going to benefit from doing it, but your children will benefit, and their children, and their children's children. To all the generations that are following behind you, you are going to enjoy the benefit of the hard work that you would have put in for the sake of your bloodline. Do not be despondent. Do not give up. Do not sit and say, it's not working for me. Why are things harder for you than they are for your peers? Why things are harder? Some of you found it harder for you to get through school when some of your peers found it easier. Some things for you in your family are difficult because your family never bothered to open ground for their generation in their time. And you need to make that decision in your time to say, for the sake of my generation, for the sake of the generations that are coming behind me, I am going to open up and make sure that I do not leave battles hanging, so that my children will fight battles that they were not meant to actually even fight. You will need to fight those battles. You will need to get out there, and I dare you to do it, because by doing it, you are paving the way for everyone else who's coming behind you. You need to stand tall. You need to stand firm, but you are standing firm and tall with the understanding. You are going to stand firm and say, the type of battle I am fighting is not the battle that everyone else fights. With me, my family never fought these things. With me, my family never dealt with these things. I am going to take it upon myself to fight these things out of my bloodline. I am going to fight so that my bloodline does not continue to carry these type of things in it. And that is how you open the way. You are like that person who is leading a bunch of people behind him, and he has a machete in his hand and is cutting the grass, and he does most of the work, but ultimately it will get to a point where there is a road that is open, and everyone else that follows behind that person will begin to enjoy the easiness of walking that road without having to carry a machete and fight. The type of battles they will fight are different from the battles of hardship that other people in the same bloodlines will have to fight. So I encourage you today that yes, you must change your perception when it comes to looking at difficulties. You need to see opportunity. You need to see breakthrough. You need to see, even if you get resistance in some of the things you are doing, you need to realize that you fighting will create an opportunity, not for you, only for you, but also for those who are coming behind you. Fight as hard as you can for your bloodline and get out there and do it. Complaining and worrying and pointing fingers and doing this is not going to help you. It's not going to help you. You take responsibility of your own bloodline and you fight and you continue. And some of you are firstborns in your families and you are fighting battles. You don't even understand why you are fighting the battles you are fighting. Let me tell you something. There is value in you seeing your challenges differently. But even better, when you have the perspective of the background of your bloodline, now your understanding is even encouraged. You are even encouraged to know, I know my battles are heavier because of where I come from. I know my battles. Some people find it easy, and we have this word that we call people are lucky. I don't even believe in that word. I've even scratched it out of my dictionary. I don't believe in luck. To me, luck does not exist. There's no one that is lucky. Anything that happens and it happens easy for you is because someone before you did something that other people were unwilling to do in their generation, and that person did it and it's benefiting you today. It is not luck. It's the hard work that someone else in your bloodline took it upon themselves to fight. Now, you can also render your children lucky if you use the word luck by fighting battles today. Yes, you will benefit. Maybe you might not even enjoy the full benefit of it. Like, for an example, let's look at South Africa, the background that it comes from. There are people that fought for the freedom we have today. Some of them did not even enjoy owning businesses that make millions. Some of them died. There were casualties of war. But guess what? There are people that followed after them that are enjoying some of those benefits. Yes, we might say we are not where we want to be as a country, but ultimately the battles we are fighting are not the same as the battles that they fought at that time. Those battles were heavier than the battles we are fighting today. Ultimately, everything boils down to the fact that as a person, you need to put yourself in a space, sorry about that, where you realize that as a person, you need to fight. You need to continue to fight, but fight with the understanding that says, I need to look at my problems as an opportunity. I need to look at my challenges as a platform of growth, as a platform of promotion. I also need to have an understanding of where I come from and the type of bloodline that I have. And the people that are in that bloodline and how they have behaved. Are they fighters? Are they lazy? Are they cowards? Do they give up easily? Those will inform you for you to realize that there are battles that have been left behind that were never fought that you need to fight. Then you fight with understanding because you know that your battle is heavier. Never fight and expect your fights to look like other people's fights. Your fights are going to be different. Why? Because your bloodline is different from other people's bloodline. So if you want to give up, this is what I want to tell you now. You are not the first one to fail. You are not the first one to fail. And you are not the first one to cry. There are people that have cried. Some people will say, no, you are saying this because you don't know the type of problems I have been through in life. Let me tell you something. There are people experiencing bigger than you. So there's nothing special about your trouble. It's trouble like it is with other people. But there are people who are experiencing a lot more than what you are experiencing, and they are pushing. What excuse do you have? If you feel like being you are not the first one to be disappointed. You are not the first one to be disappointed. You are not the first one to be in trouble. You are not the first one to have to believe God, where you have nothing else to lean on but believe God. You will not be the first one to do it. Other people have done it even in dire situations, more dire than the one that you are in. But you need to realize that as a person, get yourself into that point where you will fight for yourself and your bloodline. Now, if you feel like giving up, I want to encourage you. If you feel like giving up, realize this. No one is ordinary. None of us are ordinary. We are here in this world to make a difference. And we are here to fight and push and shove and do what we need to do to get to where we need to get to. Not only for ourselves, but those who will come behind us as well in our bloodline. But it's important for you to realize that when you get to that point where you feel like giving up, give it one more try. Give it one more shot. Give it one more shot when you feel like giving up. If you are at the point where you are tired, give it one more chance. If you're at the point in your life where you feel like you are on the verge of giving up, give it one more day. Give it one more day. Just keep pushing for that extra day. Come back and say, I did not make it today. I will push yet for another day and see if I will make it in that day. Keep pushing. If you have not failed in your life before, and you're failing and you're feeling despondent, realize this thing. You are not the first one to fail. And if you failed before, go for it one more time. Go for it one more time. Go for it one more time. Over and over again until you get into a space where you get what you wanted. Thank you so much. This is all I wanted to share with you today, that you can stand, you can fight, but have these two things in mind. Change your perspective of trouble, of challenges and difficulties in your life. Change that perspective. Let it be positive. Never look at them in a negative way. Secondly, look at your family background. Look at where your family comes from. Maybe you are the first person to do what you are doing. Realize if you are the first in your family to do anything, you're going to have the biggest challenge because you are the one to open the way for everyone else in the family. Thank you so much and be blessed. Have a great weekend.